Bob and Weave with Rob and Steve.
Bow, 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 bow.
What up, dude?
What's up, Steve OP?
Happy day to you. What's cracking, man?
Oh, it's just a beautiful day in Southern California. We've been getting a lot of June gloom and May gray recently. Today we kind of skipped that. Um, I went up to go see. I went up to Lake Arrowhead this past weekend, and they don't get any of that because they're so high up. They're above the clouds, so it's kind of like during these few months, you almost want to be up in the mountains because, I mean, it's not going to be 80 up there, but it's 65 and sunny the moment you wake up. When you're near the beach, it's cloudy until 1 p.m.
Nice. Yeah, was the trip good?
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, like I said, it was like summer up there. It seemed like every time we travel somewhere, the weather's nice. It was like that in Minnesota and Chicago. It was like 75 and sunny. Now it was up in the mountains in Lake Arrowhead. Yeah,
Nice. We just got back from Hot Atlanta.
nice.
Could not find any chicken wings, lemon pepper wet, but we did eat some good food, some Korean food, and good Mexican food. And then one night at our buddy's house, Elena made Italian uh, carbonara. So we ate pretty good, man, and saw some cool spots in like Midtown. It was raining the whole weekend too, so
Oh,
we just kept
geez.
like we were like walking everywhere along the green belt or the belt line. So we were just sort of start to rain, so we duck in a place and like have a couple drinks, and then it'd pick up. We'd be like, "All right, take our card, let's go." Make it a few more blocks. Yeah, it was a good trip, man.
How was that Atlanta airport? Have you been through there before?
Yeah, I have. It was the TSA people got some tood there, dude.
Really?
Oh my god.
I was just going
Yeah.
to mention how I think it might be the largest airport that I've been in because I just remember it took like, 15 minutes to walk from one gate to another.
Yeah. Yeah, they call it the plane train, that train that like goes from different, one terminal to the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. We had a connection in Minneapolis, I want to say. I think oh no,
Minneapolis.
it was Seattle. My
Okay.
bad. And we had to go from like terminal E to terminal A in like 20 minutes. It's like a 2 mile walk. Like
That's
barely made it in time.
wow.
But yeah, connections suck, dude. That's one thing about Boise is, I mean, yes, the airport is amazing because you can get through security and to your gate in like 8 minutes. I've looked at my phone before. It's like seriously under 10 minutes from getting dropped off in your Uber. If you already have your boarding pass, it's as soon as you have your boarding pass, if you didn't have it already, it's like 8 minutes to get through security and to your gate. So it's like San Diego's kind of like that, but you don't even need pre-check. It's super fast, but the trade-off is you always got to connect somewhere unless you're flying to somewhere in SoCal or Vegas or like you're flying to Denver or Minneapolis. But yeah, you're always connecting through Dallas, Denver, Minneapolis, Seattle, Vegas.
And I
So
know
it
you
kind
were
of
hating on the Orange County airport, but it's one of my favorites because like I got TSA and it's the same kind of thing. You get through that no problem. And it still flies direct to a decent amount of places. Like I flew direct to Minneapolis.
yeah, wow.
So it's big enough where you can get some direct flights, but small enough where it's not like a huge obstacle to get through.
Yeah, that's nice. That's super nice. I didn't realize John Wayne had so many connections. And I remember when we flew out of there for your wedding, it was super easy. It's a tiny little airport. It's like that's like Boise's, honestly.
Yeah, there's only two terminals, but it works.
Yep.
So
Well, there's two. Boise has one.
what's the smallest airport you think you've been to?
South Bend.
Oh, I didn't even know they had an airport there.
but it's bigger now actually. So the smallest one I've been to is probably Mesa, Arizona. There's a direct flight from Mesa to South Bend, and I've been to both of those because I've made that flight a few times when I was living in Phoenix, and my grandma lives in South Bend. So um, it's a direct flight for like $178.
That's that had to be a really long flight on a tiny plane, right? Would have probably 3 4 hours.
Well, there's only one flight per day, so and it might not even be every day.
I would
So
think like one per week. Yeah.
it was one of those planes that has 3 seats on one side and two on the other.
Yeah.
So you kind of are hoping you're on the two side when you book it. But I think it holds like 80 people, maybe. Um, it's not a 747 or anything. But yeah, I'm definitely a big fan of not waiting in line. And Atlanta, the TSA were like, "Hurry up! Remember to take your shoes off." Like, sir, take your laptop out of your bag. She said that 5 times. It's like,
Jeez,
dang.
you're
It's like,
serious.
dang, man. But yeah, where's the Southern hospitality? But yeah, while we were there, we were making fun of this restaurant that I had gone to one time when somebody from Atlanta had taken me there. A buddy of mine had taken me to this restaurant called Mama something. It's like all the tables in there are round and they're all 8-seaters, and it's like there's a big spinny thing on the middle of the table that takes up. It's like 4 feet, diameter. It takes up almost the whole table. There's only a room between it and you. There's only room for your plate and like your fork and drink. And the way that they serve is you pick meal number 1, 2, or 3, like, and it's basically depending on uh appetite and like family size. Like if you got 2 people, you still get the same table, but they just bring a whole bowl of green beans out. They bring a whole thing of mac and cheese, and they bring a whole thing of fried chicken. It's like Southern comfort food, and it's like trash, dude. It's like so much oil and like so bad for you. Just
Do they
typical
like
Southern.
reuse the bowl of green beans they give you? Oh, you guys didn't finish it, so they go in the back and top it off and put it on a different table.
Wouldn't be surprised, dude.
Yeah.
And like, it's you got everything, okra, all that, beans, potatoes, everything. But yeah, while we were in
Green
Atlanta,
beans, potatoes, tomatoes.
yeah, I think that song came from that restaurant, honestly. But yeah, Biden went to that restaurant while we were there. He just like
Oh
made a
wow.
surprise visit to Atlanta and went to that restaurant.
Okay. Good for him.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, in Atlanta, they do this thing in this neighborhood called Virginia Hills or something. It's basically it's this neighborhood of all single family residential right outside of Midtown Atlanta, and they do this event every year called Porch Fest, and we just happened to be there that weekend. And there's like 6 or 7 blocks of homes that are kind of like blocked off to cars, and there's a band on each block. One house volunteers, or maybe they get paid, and they let a band set up in their front yard. And most of the houses that get picked have like an elevated front yard because it's kind of a hilly area. So all the people can stand on the street and watch the band that's playing up on the in the house's front lawn or on their porch. So it's
Uh,
all local bands and stuff, and it's like open container laws are ignored for the day. So people are like wheeling, coolers and backpacks of beer, and there's beer being sold everywhere. You can even bring a cooler and sell beer if you want. It's like no rules. Um, but it was cool, man, just to kind of hang out on the streets and watch some bands. It was all free. It's awesome.
Pretty cool. What's the beer of choice out there?
Oh man, they got breweries out there that I honestly haven't heard of. They have some of the ones that you see when you travel, like Space Dust. It's all over Chicago, and they had some the Midwest breweries, but it was all local stuff that I'm not familiar with. Um, I was kind of sticking with this Golden Pilsner ale that I had found, but yeah, I honestly don't even remember any of the names of them.
Okay. But I mean, like, I know when I go to like Evansville, they're all about Busch Light there, and we were
Oh yeah,
in Chicago. They like it was hard to find Coors Light there. Everybody was drinking Miller. It wasn't like good. You didn't notice that every tap had Bud Light or something.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, yeah. We didn't go to many bars that were like, had taps with domestics. Honestly, it was all craft. We went to a couple. We were drinking a lot of martinis and crap like that when we went into the bars. I was drinking gin and waters with some lemon, just or whatever they kind of had at that cocktail bar. But for beer, it was mostly like cans of local craft.
Interesting.
Um, yeah, at the Porch Fest, I had a few vendors that were selling, I want to say like PBR cans. Um, but it was like they had that, but then like 6 craft beers to choose from. So usually was going with a craft beer because it's $1 more and like packs way more punch. So
Yeah.
you know me, I'm economical. But yeah, what's your domestic of choice? What's in your fridge for game day?
We've been on the Coors train for a while.
Yeah, same.
So we I guess when Nicole's in college, she was drinking a lot of Coors Light, and I drank Keystone, Indiana, and
Yep.
when we met, we were drinking a lot of Michelob's,
Oh
and
yeah.
then she went to one of her college friends' wedding. When was that? It must have been. I think it was in July of last year, and it was one of her buddies that she drank a bunch of Coors Light with, and so it seems like his wedding was sponsored by Coors Light because it was Coors Light everywhere. Like, and ever since then, we've switched back to Coors. And one of my friends, someone from Chicago, she works in the marketing department at Coors. And when I saw her in Chicago, we mentioned how we usually drink Coors, and we came home to like a giant box of, a bunch of marketing, like sweaters and shirts and hats and all this stuff. And so we got a bunch of Coors gear, and we're all Coors Lighted out now.
Hence the jackets, right? The drinking jackets or the jerseys, I mean.
Jerseys, yeah, that was Nicole's birthday gift. Is I got her these blue baseball jerseys that say Coors Light on. They're pretty slick.
Yeah, those they look nice.
Yeah,
I'm
those
a
are not
big
officially sponsored by Coors, though. I found out from my friend that they were a third party had created them, so you can't contact Coors and ask for them. You got to go on like TikTok Shop and find it, or Etsy.
yeah, aftermarket, black market.
Yeah,
Nice, dude. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Miller Lite in bottles. That is my beer of choice.
interesting.
But Boise doesn't have glass recycling at residential properties like pickup. So you just have to throw it away or save it on the side of your house and then go take it to a collection center, which honestly, they're conveniently placed all over the freaking city. But I just don't want a big bucket of stale beer cans or bottles on the side of my house that every 3 months I take these weathered, rained on puddles of muck
Yeah,
in the bucket in the car over there. So I just sort of don't drink that many bottles right now. Um, but yeah, so in a can though, Miller Lite sucks. So it's like, I guess I'll drink Coors.
you can taste the metal.
I don't know what it is. Yeah, it's like a little too. I don't know. It's like it's just not as refreshing as Coors in the can.
You know what?
But
We should do a taste test. Next episode, go get Miller's in a can and in a bottle, and then put them both in a glass and have like a label, and Elena will label it, and I'll do the same for Coors. See if we can taste the difference.
you got yourself a deal. Actually, that might be really fun.
Or should we? We'll be blindfolded drinking them.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's a great idea. We should actually bring the girls into the pod for the day, and we got our bandanas on our eyes, and they're serving, but
Well,
they're on
I
camera
got a
too.
Coors Light bandana now, so we're on.
Uh oh. Dude, I don't know if they have it where you are, but they had it in San Diego at Vaughn's. They had PBR in bottles, like
Really?
consistently. Yeah, and those were also really good, but you can only drink like 6 or 8 of them before you get tired of it. With, but like Miller Lite bottles or Coors Light bottles, you can drink that all day. But But
Never
yeah,
seen PBR in a bottle.
you should check your Vons, see if they still do that. The last
Nice.
time I was there, not for your wedding, but the year before that, when I came down on that road trip, they had it. They still had it, and I bought like 2 packs to bring home with me to impress my friends. But it was like a month-long road trip, so they did not last.
Yeah.
I didn't make it home.
Nice. All
Oh
right.
man.
Well, I think we're going to the grocery probably tomorrow, so I'll let you know.
Yeah, you got Vons by you?
Yeah, that's where we go
Yeah,
to.
sweet. Yeah, check it out. It's usually kind of like on the bottom shelf, and it looks like a box of cans, but if you read it, it says bottles, and it's like, oh wow, you wouldn't even like. It's really inconspicuous.
Interesting. All right. Quick fun fact about beer before we move on. Did you know that beer was invented by, I think it was monks, because they would be fasting and they wanted something to sustain them a little bit, but still be in a fasting state for longer. And so they put a bunch of water in wheat and barley, and then it fermented into the water. And that was the first beer.
Interesting, interesting.
I can
And
only
they,
imagine being like fasted for 36 hours and then throwing back 3 beers. Like,
yeah, talk about what's it called? Euphoria, or what is it when you have a religious experience?
oh, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I can't imagine that. Man, yeah, I think we talked about fasting on one of these episodes, and I tried it a couple weeks ago, dude. I tried to like not eat till 4 p.m. Oh my god, I made it to like 1:30, and I was like, I'm gonna murder someone who's close to me, and I can't do this.
I'm
Had to eat
technically
some.
fasting right now. I'm doing once a week. I'm doing a 24-hour fast, and so I started my
Nice.
24-hour fast an hour and a half ago.
Oh boy, did you eat a whole bunch right before?
No, I just had a regular lunch. That's kind of the trick, because if you can do these fast, but if you like overdo it right before, right after, it kind of just doesn't matter. Like you
Oh yeah,
yo-yo real quick. So you have to eat normal and then fast when you do it. The key is you have to drink a ton of water while you're fasting. If you don't,
interesting.
your stomach is going to shrink like crazy, and you're going to feel hungry, not only physically hungry but mentally you're going to feel hungry. But if you drink a bunch of water, it usually helps the mental portion of it. And like, I mean, like twice as much as you normally drink if you drink the appropriate amount of water. Like, and if you don't, 3 times as much.
Hmm. Speaking of yo-yo, have you seen this kid on Instagram or maybe it's TikTok who's does these crazy yo-yo tricks I've never seen before?
I think you sent me one. It was like the
Yeah,
DNA.
the DNA, dude. How sick was that? You could never do that with an X brain. He must have something crazy.
An X brain? What are you talking about?
You don't remember the X brain from when we were in elementary school?
No, I remember being relatively in the yo-yoing. Like, it was kind of cool. And I had like a butterfly yo-yo, and I had one
Yep.
that lit up. So when you spun it, it would do like different lights. And if you had the right thing, it would make like certain patterns. Are you about to
So there
whip
was
out a yo-yo there?
butterfly. There was Duncan, and
Oh,
then
yeah.
there was the X Brain brand. Here it is.
You have
So
yo-yo.
Yomega. So the Yomega brand came out, and I still have mine.
Gosh.
They had three different kinds. They had the X Brain and they had the Fireball. And the Fireball could sleep pretty long, but it was like better for doing tricks. And then they had the X Brain that had like the motor in it with multiple ball bearings that made it spin like it would use centrifugal force to keep it spinning. So you could sleep it for like 2 minutes. Um, but this one was for like the people who, didn't need that length to get tricks done, but it could be more versatile. So I had both of them. I think the X Brain broke, and this one's made it because I was trying to get good at it. But yeah, this thing glows in the dark still, dude. So it's kind of funny. It sits on my bookshelf right there, and all day it's catching light through the window, and then at nighttime it's just like the nightlight in the room.
When's the last time you did some tricks?
I don't know. Yesterday, I play with it almost every day.
Seriously?
I'm just kidding. Every time I move, I find that I like when I unpack it, I'm like, oh yeah, let's take a little break for a minute, and mess around. Yeah, dude, Omega's where it's at, but I don't know what that kid has. The tricks he does are insane, insane.
Yeah, I'll check
He's
him out
like
more.
9.
He's gonna peak at 11.
Yeah, always be the yo-yo kid. Um, dude, I just got these new shoes.
What do we got? All right, those look like Allbirds, but not.
Yeah, they are kind of like Allbirds. It's this brand on Amazon called Witten, and they're like barefoot zero drop. So they're just flat across the bottom. There's no like curve for your arch. There's no like heel that's a little thicker than where the toes are. But the most important aspect is that the toe area is super wide.
Oh yeah,
So like typical wide shoes, it's like the whole shoe is wide, but on these shoes,
the big toe box.
the toe box is even wider than that. But then the rest of the foot is still the same, so that you can do this with your toes. Just spread your toes out. But I guess I guess like a lot of adults have damage to their feet to where their pinky toes and stuff kind of gets curled in, and it's because their shoes from when they were a little kid were always too narrow. And I started looking at Rafi's feet. My son's 5, he'll be 6 in August, and his toes are starting to do that. And he grows out of his shoes so fast, and it's like I got to get him new shoes in like 2 days, or they're too small. And sometimes it takes a few weeks. So he's every once in a while his shoes are too small, and they're just like his toes are starting to point inwards a little bit. And so if you get like that type of wide toe box shoes for little kids, it helps them learn to like always be spreading their toes out when they're walking and stuff. And that's like a way more natural way to move, range of motion, so that they'll have healthier feet and posture and like healthier joints later on because their feet are growing correctly.
Yeah, I've heard that like we're supposed to be able to move our toes individually, like we can move our fingers. But since we have them in shoes and never use them that way, nobody can really do it. But like I remember like those barefoot things, they're like individual toe
Mm-hmm.
shoes.
Yeah.
Uh, People who use those, I've heard that you can start using individual toes if you train them, which is kind of wild.
Interesting. Yeah, you're talking about the original Vibrams from like 14 years ago.
Sure, I don't know
Yeah,
what they are.
I still have mine. Yeah, Vibram, that brand that's like on every hiking boot sole now, the rubber material. Their original, when they first came out, that company, they were making those toe shoes, and they had that thick rubber on the bottom, but that was it. There was no arch support, no nothing, and each toe had its own little sleeve to go in. And I still have mine that I bought way back then for like $180 when I was trail running all the time. And I honestly think it made my feet a lot stronger back then for that, because yeah, you could grab rocks with your toes as you were kind of running on the trail, gain more stability that way. So I even wore those in some races, because on some trail run races, because I knew that there were a lot of rocks, and you're not just depending on your ball of your feet and like your heels to like stabilize. You can really grab everything, especially when you wear them all the time. You get real good at grabbing stuff, not necessarily individual toe wise, but
Yeah.
um, you just always feel like you're like a mound goat, just suction cup to the surface you're grabbing.
So, but before we get deeper into this, I got a funny story about these shoes. So, we've lived in this house for about 4 years, and maybe 6 months ago, we got a package that wasn't ours. It wasn't from the people who previously owned it. I don't know if they had like a roommate at one point or something, but somebody's name that wasn't who we bought the house from. Package showed up, and we didn't know what to do with it. Reached out to the old owners, and they didn't know what to do with it. So we opened it, and it was the 5-fingered toe things, and
Nice.
so it was 2 pairs of them. And it was kind of strange, and so we kept them for a while. Maybe this person would reach out to us, and we'd figure it out, and they never did. But a few weeks after we got those, we got another package, and it ended up being another pair of shoes, but a very different pair of shoes. It was a pair of men's size 10 pink high heels. So gotten those delivered to the wrong address. It's like this poor guy. No, he's now done it twice, and I was like, he's definitely not going to reach out to us now. But and of course, they're like, yeah, they're sitting in my office, like waiting for this person to call. And every time somebody comes in, it's like, so Rob, are those yours? Like, not
That's
today.
wild.
That's my nighttime shoes.
You a size 10 by chance?
I'm a 10.5, so they're a little small.
Did you try the toe shoes?
I did not. No, the toe shoes were too small. I think those were 9.5s, and yeah, I just didn't want to. I've always been interested to try them. It's because I know, like, I'm a big fan of natural stuff, like how we used to live, like how our body was meant to be, and we should be barefoot, but it's just not. It doesn't make sense to it with all this concrete around, and so it's just hard to do it. But I'd love to get some of those shoes, but every time I look at them, like you said, they're like $190, and it just seems so silly. Mm-hmm. Have you heard about those? That tribe that's in South America, they make their own shoes. They're just like wood planks that they tie a piece of like rope on the top to, so it stays on, and that's what they wear as shoes.
No. And what's the result of that?
Well, so they're hunters, and the way that they hunt is that they run out like elk and stuff, and so they don't like actively like throw arrows or rocks or anything like that. They will just slowly chase the elk for 50 miles until it runs out of breath and lays down, and then they can catch it. And they do that in these shoes.
Wow. I thought you were going to say they like stomp the elk.
They didn't go into detail what they do when they catch it, but eventually the animal just lays there in exhaustion, because it's like one of the things that humans have over every other animal on the planet is our lung capacity. Based on how big we are, is we have the largest lung capacity to size of anybody, so we can our endurance hypothetically could be higher than any other animal on the planet.
Yeah, I've heard that same thing. That's why we aren't faster or stronger or whatever. Is because we can just out walk them duration wise, and
yeah. I mean, I definitely, I don't know if it's a walk would do it, but it's like they said they'll slowly jog, and just enough to make the elk like move a little bit, like run a little bit, just to keep going for and it takes them 2 days to catch one animal, but that's how they do wild. It.
They just sleep when it sleeps and then keep going.
Yeah, I think it doesn't sleep. They just run until the animal gets tired enough to just lays there, and they just walk up to it and kill it.
Wow. That's great. And then they got to carry it back.
Yeah. I would think that if they did that, they would be smart enough where they'll go out and find it and then chase it back towards their camp. But I don't know.
Yeah. That would be genius. Interesting. Yeah. I'm gonna have to look that up.
It was on a TV show, so it'll probably be like Animal Planet or Discovery or something.
Yeah. Bear Grylls, baby, let's go.
Yeah. Why was Bear Grylls brought up recently?
I think he said he has been doing the carnivore diet for like 10 years.
Yeah, that's not new news though. Somebody had brought him up to me this week. Maybe it was Nicole. I'll ask her.
Yeah, man. Seen any good movies lately?
I saw one really bad one.
What was it?
So it sucks because I'm a big Jake Gyllenhaal fan, but Roadhouse was so bad.
Really? Dude, I thought it was so good. It was so much better than the old one.
I never saw the old one. I only saw clips of it, but it's just like some of like the animation in there where it was like supposed to look real, but I was like, am I watching Polar Express right now? Like what's going on? And then Conor McGregor was in there and he was just absolute shit. Um, Post Malone did good, but then Conor
Yeah.
McGregor's in there is just, I mean, I don't know. It looked bad the whole time. I mean, I was entertained and I finished the movie, but I would by no means ever give it a good rating.
It took me like 3/4 of the way through the movie to realize that was Conor McGregor. I thought that the guy just sort of reminded me of him. But did he get super jacked for the movie?
You're talking about a UFC fighter. What are you talking about?
But he's usually super lean
Okay.
and
Yes, he
like
put
yeah,
on lots
he's
of muscle mass. But
yeah,
I think that's just like his non-fighting weight though, because like Paddy Pimblett, like dude loses 35 pounds in 2 months to fight, and then he'll put it back on, and he looked like a chubby little shit like 3 months after he fought. And I think Connor kind of does the same. Like it's not sustainable to be 4% body fat. It's just that's fighting weight. And so they'll get back up to 15-20% when they're not fighting. And I think that's when he filmed the movie.
got it. Okay, yeah. I mean, he looked huge. His beard looked. They must have colored his beard. Or
I'm sure. And I think that's just what he looks like.
oh, interesting. Yeah, that dude he was ginormous. It looked like he was like 50, 60, maybe 80 pounds heavier, but it could have just been how the cinematography of it.
Well, also like Jake Gyllenhaal was like super lean for that movie too. Like he must have
Yeah.
been 5% body fat for that film. Like he
Yeah.
was veins popping out everywhere.
I do really like it. We actually watched that because I told Alita about the old Roadhouse, and and that one came out like the next day, and I was just like, "Oh, look, they remade Roadhouse. Let's watch the new one." And then we went on this spree of watching all the Jake Gyllenhaal movies available on Prime and Netflix and stuff. Dude, he is so good, man.
I love Jake Gyllenhaal.
It sucks so bad. He was in Brokeback Mountain.
I haven't seen that one. Maybe I need to go watch it.
I have. You won't catch me. Won't catch me watching it. I don't. I don't think I could. But can we put? Is this
When we
YouTube
were
again?
watching Roadhouse, like he's kind of like his insanity when he's like giggling like right before he gets in the fight thing. Like, oh, is this like the Donnie Darko guy? Like
Yeah.
it's like almost the same character.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't seen that one in a long time. I need to go back and watch that one.
I mean, Donnie Darko is a good movie. I think that's one you kind of have to watch like 2 or 3 times because it's got so many like rabbit holes in it.
Yeah. We
Yeah,
watched one. I always want to call it. Is this is the end? But that's not it. It's like it's like the end of this is the end of us or something like that. With oh man, the lady from Ocean's 11. What's her name?
I don't know.
Oh man, Julia Roberts. Julia Roberts is in a new movie that's pretty good. The end of the world, the end of us, or something. The end of the world, or this is the end of us, or something like that. It's on Netflix, but
Is
that one was pretty good.
is it a Gyllenhaal movie or just a movie you saw?
Mm-mm. No, just a good one we watched the other weekend. But it was just on in the background at first, but then we got into it because it was pretty interesting. Is another one of those apocalyptic, hey, there's something going on and the world's ending movies,
Yeah,
and we must protect our kids and blah blah blah. So
fun stuff.
it was pretty good. Um, what other topics were we wanting to cover today? There's something
You
else.
mentioned with the shoe stuff. You mentioned grounding.
Oh yeah.
So I remember I saw an ad. First time I heard about grounding was like this mat that you put on your bed and you plug it
Mm-hmm.
into grounding wire on the electrical outlet and it grounds you. And apparently like being connected to the earth in that way heals a bunch of ailments. I don't
Mm-hmm.
remember exactly what it was, but it was some older guy saying he didn't have aches and pains because he slept on like this copper mat that was grounded to the earth.
Yep. Yeah, I've seen a few different ways of doing it. There's the mat that goes under your sheets that you can plug in the wall. They also sell a comforter that you can plug in the wall, and then they also sell both of those same things, but instead of plugging in the wall, it comes with like a 60-foot copper wire, and
You
you
just
run
bury
it
it in your yard.
out your window and into the ground, and then I almost just pulled the trigger on one the other day. It was like a couple months ago now, back when I was sitting at my desk all day, every day. That it's like a floor mat that plugs into the ground in the wall. And you can put it under your desk and you just take your shoes off and, put your feet right on it. And so yeah, they sell shoes that are grounding shoes, but they all look stupid. I haven't found like a cool pair of grounding shoes.
I mean, that sounds counterproductive because you could just ground by just going and standing on bare grass. So shoes would be a barrier to that.
Right. It's some kind of like it's super thin soles that are lined with copper. So that it's pulling it from the earth and then it's like right on your feet. Um, this is really funny. I saw some people that do this on their own shoes, so they started selling them. You can buy shoes from this company where they, take regular Nikes or regular Adidas shoes and they like skillfully cut the sole completely out. It's like you want to be barefoot everywhere, but like, they on the commercial they show like they're going into a 7-Eleven and like, hey, no shoes, no service. So they just cut the bottom out of the shoe completely, but like the sidewall of
They do it in a way where you can't see your foot on the bottom.
they leave the rubber on the side, so it just looks like you're wearing shoes, but you're just legit barefoot.
That's
Imagine going into a 7-Eleven bathroom with those on.
oh,
But these people are legit about it. They're like, yeah, we sell these for like more than the original shoe is worth or
wow.
cost. But pretty funny.
Yeah, one of my buddies growing up, we always made fun of him because he was just never wearing shoes. Like he would play basketball in the driveway without shoes on.
Yeah, that was me, dude.
No, I'm telling you, it wasn't you.
Okay. I used to
Because
do that too.
the bottom of John's feet were just black from just
Gross.
never wearing shoes.
Yeah, do you remember growing up in the neighborhood? It'd be like pouring rain, and I'd be like, "Oh, sweet, time to go outside." I even had like a special basketball that when it got wet, it got grippy,
Oh,
but when it was dry, it just sucked as a basketball because it was so slick. But it was just like a well worn in rubber basketball, I think. But when it rained, it would be like the perfect ball. It was
interesting.
like better than any dry ball on a dry day. But yeah, I would just play in the driveway, and that my driveway was super sloped. So you're basically just at the bottom of the driveway shooting, corner threes,
15-footers, yeah.
Yeah.
I did
Um,
the old. I would put it in a plastic bag, and I'd tie up the bag, and that's how I'd play.
oh, interesting. So the ball just
Yeah,
stays mostly dry.
did a pretty good job. It was just the only issue was the side where you had the knot. If you dribbled on that side on accident, it obviously caused some ricochet.
Yeah. I don't know why this memory sticks out for me, but I remember you had a pogo stick and at your mom's,
Yes,
and then every once in a while we'd bounce around in the driveway, but you could do like tricks and stuff.
I don't know about. I remember I could like turn around.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
I don't know if
dude,
I'd call that a trick, but
when we were 10, a 360 was like everything.
or going off the diving board, 360,
Yeah.
sick.
Dude, just for all the listeners, I mean, all the listener, I know Ms. T already knows this, but if anybody else ever goes back and looks at these, Rob was always the king of the jackknife off the diving
Oh
board, dude.
yeah,
The guy could make the tallest splash. He was like the skinniest kid out there. Just it'd be like him and a bunch of like big guys doing cannonballs, but Rob would win the big splash contest like almost every year.
it's a highlight of my year every year. Big
Yeah.
splash. I remember we used to try and you have to jump out as far as you can and turn to the right so you can try and splash the lifeguard. That was
Yeah.
that was like the peak of splashing.
Yeah. Oh man. We used to terrorize that neighborhood pool with shenanigans.
Oh yeah.
Man, so those are some of the funnest days too. Lifeguarding there. Um, Mark Lambert was the pool manager. I don't know if he's still around, but he was like an Olympic swimmer with Mark Spitz, and pretty sure they both got their gold
He
medals.
swam
Like,
at IU with him.
yeah, you're right. But I thought they were in the Olympics too while they were at IU.
I don't think I don't think Mark Lambert made it to the Olympics.
Okay, Mark
I'm pretty
Spitz
sure.
did though, right?
Yeah, but I think it was
Okay,
like they had some record for some relay and Mark was in the relay. So like his
yeah.
name's on the board somewhere or something like that.
Talk about living in the golden years,
Yep.
or
And
glory days. That guy was a
when we got him, he was a swim coach and pool manager and he must have been 320, 5'11". And so it was the last season. I think we were kids, and we always did like a coaches relay, and he never did it because it was obviously his days were behind him. But the one time he did it, and he came out wearing a speedo, and like half of his butt was covered. It's like, and he dove in and just did like a like a a cruise ship being entered in the water, and then he swam his 25, and he just couldn't get out of the pool until the race was over.
Oh my god. Yeah, he was big. He was a big dude. He did not eat healthy, and he never bought new clothes. I mean,
Yeah,
or anything new. Like he was like the king of, oh, I'm gonna fix that, or
yeah,
like t-shirts became headbands.
yeah. Probably
He was
still
a fun.
managing a pool somewhere.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know, man. He was pretty old back then. We'll have to look him up. Maybe we could bring him on the pod, dude. If he's around, we gotta get him on the pod. That would
That
be
guy's got some stories.
that would be hilarious. That'd be a hilarious interview, actually. All right, homework for me. Sleuth the internet. Find Mark Lambert.
I feel like he wasn't even on the internet when we knew him, so I don't know.
Yeah,
Like unless he got arrested, I don't know if you're gonna be able to find him.
yeah. That's too funny. Well,
All
right
right,
on,
brother.
man. What else we got to chat about?
That's all I got. I think this might call it a pod today.
Let's do it.
All right. Love you, Mom.
Love you, Miss T.
See you next week, Steve.
Later, dude.